Good evening and welcome to the Haynes Total Healthcare Coaches Call-In Show, presented by Southern Ohio Sports Authority and Ohio Health. As always, we thank Low Fiber for providing internet access for tonight's show here in the Southern Ohio Sports Authority studio. I'm your host, John Bruce, along with Coach Jeff Miller, and from Haynes Total Healthcare, Hunter McComas, correct?
Yes, sir.
Let's go.
Yeah, you got it.
I know you just told me. I wanted to make sure I got the last name right.
It's hard. I understand that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you're a Piketon grad,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
And how long have you been with Haynes Total Healthcare?
So I've been with Haynes actually about 2 years now. I started there doing the stretch therapy, personal training. I do a lot of stuff around front too, checking people in, checking people out.
So, and it's, if you haven't been to Haynes Total Healthcare, it's very efficient. I saw someone down at the football game that had signed in one person before me, and I did not see them, and it was like a minute before me on the thing today. So I'm like, well, that's pretty good. So it's a very efficient organization. You know, and once you have your appointment, as long as you make your appointments, it's going to happen.
Yes, sir.
So stretch therapy.
Mm-hmm.
So me and Jeff were both able to do it this week. But before we talk about our results, can you kind of explain what it is and the value behind it?
Yeah, absolutely. So what stretch therapy is a full body passive stretch where you're trying to get to that myofascial, where you're taking the muscle to the maximum point where you're holding that for about 15 to 20 seconds, trying to get to the blood flow, moving throughout the body, trying to get that range of motion. It's something that we do to try to, especially with athletes, going through injuries, stuff like that. You're wanting to keep working muscles. They're always taking hits. They're damaging their body. So it's always something that you're wanting to do. Keep that body moving as functional as possible and even better than what it was beforehand.
How many, approximately, you guys are open on Saturday mornings.
Yes, sir.
And I think you and I had talked earlier in the week that that's one of the days, it's good for
a lot of athletes coming in, sports, especially football people right now coming in after Friday night games.
And you guys, as far as Saturday, what are the hours on Saturday? Those, kids can come in and get stretched from you.
So I'm usually there a lot with Dr. Brandon. I'm there a lot of times with Dr. Green, Dr. Abby too on Saturdays. But 8 o'clock we have patients coming in, and then all the way till 12 usually we have patients 5 minutes apart coming in, bang, bang, bang. Like you said, getting in and out of the door all the time, quick on.
Well, and then with it being 8 to 12, that's really good to have that much time because a lot of teams will go through their Saturday morning stuff, but then you can go get some work done. You mentioned injuries. I came in with a bit of an injury, and if you saw me last night at the girls volleyball game, I'm in a walking boot, and then if you saw me tonight down for the Wheelersburg Fest down at Lucasville Valley, there was no walking boot tonight because this morning I go in and you're able to stretch me. So for a 41-year-old, that was really beneficial. So how even more beneficial can it be to an athlete that maybe tweaked an ankle or pulled a hammy or something along those lines the night before to get that quick therapy?
Well, especially, sadly, as you do get older, it's harder to get repair from those injuries or anything like that. So sooner the better you can get in as any kind of injury, the quicker we can work on it, the quicker it's going to get better. Stretching, when you're able to relax and someone else is doing it for you, you're able to get that more range of motion, that full stretch, so you're not having to work that body. So when you're hurting anyways, you're not wanting to stretch. So when someone else is doing it, you're able to push you a little bit farther, and you really see the full dynamics of it, I guess.
And that's kind of one of the things that, since I did my stretch Thursday, I've talked to a few people about it, and I said one of the things that was just so unique to me was, as a young athlete, let's be honest, kids don't really like to stretch.
No, not at all.
You can tell your athletes like, hey, we're going to spend our 5 minutes stretching here, and the typical athlete's kind of looking. The coach has got their head off of you. They're kind of, I'm ready to go.
I don't want to do that much.
But being in there with you and getting the stretch was just so unique because, again, like you said, you've got someone else doing it that can kind of push you to a limit.
Yep.
That you're probably not going to push yourself.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I know, for me, I said I probably haven't stretched in 30 years,
Yeah.
But man, when I left, I got home and I felt really good.
Absolutely.
My wife even commented, she's like, What's wrong with you? And I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I could just go run right now. You know what I mean? Like I feel really good.
Didn't,
so
though, right?
no, I didn't. I didn't want to pull a hammy and be back in the next day.
But you think about it, I mean, professional athletes, college athletes, they're always stretching. It's something that they always focus on. So why wouldn't the normal person you're still doing work to your body, you're still bending down, you're squatting, you're lifting things up. So why wouldn't you do something to keep your body in line, keep your body moving at least as good as possible?
Right.
I was gonna say, you're also like sneezing. You can do little things that
knock
like
something out of the bag.
Yeah.
Knock a rib out. You know.
Yeah, so that's one of the big values of the Hainstoll Healthcare Center is there's so many different options where even if you maybe don't think you need a chiropractor, you can get stretched, and there's a variety of other options there as well. So, how just important is it just to take care of your body, especially, maybe before something happens?
Absolutely. Taking care of your body before something happens is a lot easier because then that muscle tension isn't there. You're not fighting with an injury anyways, so you're not necessarily hurting, but you're keeping yourself from that pain, that injury, or anything like that. A lot of times with like physical therapy, they have people go in before they get replacements or anything like that to strengthen that muscle. So then recovery is even 10 times easier than necessarily if you're not doing it beforehand.
Mm-hmm. And then just kind of last question, how much do you enjoy seeing your customers and the people you work with out in the open? Because like myself and Jeff, like, we're feeling much better today.
Yeah.
How nice is that to see?
Oh, it is awesome. You get into the healthcare field to make people feel better. So to see people actually to go play a football game because they're hurting before or anything like that, it's awesome to see them to be able to go enjoy what they want to do and get back to that normal day life.
Mm-hmm.
No, I can't thank you enough. Honestly, I did it once, first time I've ever done anything like that. I don't think they had stretching therapy in the late 80s or the early 90s. But man, I like I said, I left there. I felt great. I scheduled again this week, and
that's awesome.
And I guess that's my thing is, as far as, is that something like as an athlete, are you looking at like, once a week, 2 times a week, or what's kind of like the ideal amount as far as that's kind of concerned?
I always tell people like stretching something that you got to do every day. You're not gonna do this once and have a huge difference. You're not gonna be doing the splits the next day. But it helps a lot because, like I said, someone else is doing it, so you get a little bit more range of motion. But it kind of shows you what to work on. Yeah. Stretching is one of those you have to do like 15 to 20 seconds is always recommended for each muscle. So I always tell like athletes, especially after games, Saturdays, everything like that. And then with the chiropractic, it goes a lot of hand in hand. You're loosening those muscles up for the chiropractors, so then their adjustments go in better. So a lot of times I tell people, just whenever you're getting an adjustment, come do this beforehand. You see a big benefit, and then it'll just help you out through your day to day.
Yeah, and like you said, someone else doing the stretches for you, and you're talking through why you're doing this and whatnot. So I know we were doing a couple things for like my hip, and you were talking me through it and showing me how to do it, so I know I can take it and do it at home as well. Not as well, but at least I can keep it stretched until the next time I'm able to go in, and then that way it's obviously it will lengthen the benefits of it as well.
Won't be as tight at least.
Yes. Yeah. So, Hunter, we appreciate you coming in. If you need a stretch, physical therapy, chiropractic, a range,
dry needling. I mean,
it's massage therapy, like you said, physical therapy. We have a lot to offer at the office for sure.
Yeah. So check out the Hainstoll Healthcare Center in Chillicothe. And it's an outstanding, obviously a sponsor, but we've been there. We use it as well, so we know the benefits as well. So once again, Hunter, we appreciate you coming in. Hang with us. After this commercial break, we'll have, I believe, at least one coach calling in on the Edward Jones Coaches Hotline. Once again, you're watching the Hainstoll Healthcare Coaches Call-In Show.
Mark. 6 months of training. 8 miles to go. A 3-way tie for almost last place.
You look good in these shorts, right?
And 3 years since he and his team at Ohio Health left cancer in the dust.
At North Fork Animal Clinic, we're more than your pet's health care. We're your neighbors. We combine top quality veterinary care with the availability you can count on, keeping tails wagging and pets thriving. And as proud supporters of youth sports in Southern Ohio, we're committed to helping our whole community grow strong. North Fork Animal Clinic, caring for pets, supporting our community.
Are you looking for the best deals on quality used trucks and cars?
Great news, Chillicothe Truck has what you're looking for.
Choose from a wide selection of makes and models. All vehicles undergo a detailed multi-point inspection and extensive reconditioning before hitting the lot. Our friendly team offers a no-pressure sales experience, ensuring you find the perfect vehicle to fit your needs. Plus, you can customize your ride with our extensive range of truck accessories, from bed covers to lift kits. Stop by 173 Rennick Avenue in Chillicothe or call us today at 740-773-8782 to get started right now.
Glo Fiber is now in Ohio. And with gig speed fiber internet, we're keeping things real. As in real, reliable speeds. Real people who really want to talk to you. Not to mention, real simple pricing. Switch to Glo Fiber today to get real fast, real reliable fiber internet and your first month free. Glo Fiber is here. Welcome to Glo Ohio. Call 1-833-WANT-GLO or visit glofiber.com to switch.
Welcome back to the Haynes Toll Healthcare Coaches Call-In Show, presented by Southern Ohio Sports Authority and Ohio Health. How you doing tonight, Jeff?
Wonderful. Another good weather-wise, another great night out there. Friday night football. I mean, here we are at the midway point, and actually, tonight might have been
Okay, perfect. All right.
overly warm, to be honest with you. So
Yeah, it was a warm night for late September.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, not quite Earth, Wind, and Fire time yet, as we got 2 more days for that. So that'll be on Sunday. I'm sure there'll be some references to that. And
You still there, Coach?
okay. Does Berman do his show still?
All right, yep, we're good. So
Yeah, I
give me
believe
a second
so,
to get you on here.
So now joining us on the Edward Jones Coaches Hotline is Coach Rob Woodard from Wheelersburg. How you doing tonight, Coach?
I'm doing great. Coming off a big win with our kids, played their butts off. Really proud of them.
Yeah, it's. I was there for most of the first half, and man, that was as impressive of a first 15 minutes as I've seen from a team in what was supposed to be a really competitive game. You guys came out early and often, so just ended up 52-7, correct?
Ended up 52-7. Yes, we had a missed tackle on a play that their kid made a nice play and was able to get down the field and score a touchdown. But the selflessness that our kids have shown this past week in their preparation and in their execution tonight has just been, I told them, one of the best I've ever seen. Everybody playing for one another, each other, celebrating together. Just a great team win, and everybody playing together, and that's what you want to see out of a football team.
Coach, obviously big league matchup tonight. Valley comes in 4-0. I think, last week we were talking about you guys had kind of had Valley's number for a while, but, obviously this year coming in 4-0, they were probably looking to be in a tighter game. How big was that first quarter? Just establishing what you guys wanted to do as far as that game's concerned.
Well, I loved how we started off defensively, big 3 and out, which is one of our main goals anytime that we're playing an opponent. Our guys were game tackling, doing a good job on a couple of key things that they were trying to do. They punted the ball away to us, and we ended up with good field position. Started off the rip from the very first offensive play. Coach Dusty Sayers, communicating it down to Braylon Rucker. Again, things we've worked on throughout the week and really starting to click and understanding exactly what we're wanting to do versus an opponent when we get a matchup or a situation. Braylon throws a great ball, and we're able to get down that seam, score a touchdown, and start it off. And then we just turn around and, again, defensively make a big stop. Actually, that led to their touchdown happened on that ensuing drive. After that, and our kids, they've done a great job of not letting it linger when things have happened. They've been able to move on to the next play, and we've seen that throughout weeks 1, 2, 4, as we played over these other opponents. And then tonight, they come back out right on the next play of offense. We're able to go and score again. And again, the blocking that's been executed downfield, up front, downfield, everybody doing their job and celebrating and encouraging one another, and then turn around defensively and making some big plays as well. And, very, very pleased against, our preparation all week had been for what we knew we'd seen on film, and, of course, a team that was 4-0. And our kids have always shown each and every opponent the respect it deserves, showed the game the respect it deserves, and we talk about that all the time. And they did what they needed to do to prepare for this game. And the conditioning that we've had, we've changed a few things up in how we approach the week, and I think it's been working out great for us. I think it's been in-season preparation when it comes to strength and conditioning, and then film study, work in practice. We had a couple JV games, freshman game this week too. So our kids trying to work scout team, and they stepped in there and they were doing a nice job of just playing the game of football. Really, really proud of them.
Yeah, and you mentioned a few different players. It felt like you had a variety of guys scoring tonight. How many different players actually did score touchdowns for you guys tonight?
I was trying to think that. I can't. I know Elijah Brown had a touchdown. I know Kenyon Evans had a touchdown. Braylon Rucker had a touchdown that was called back on an inadvertent whistle. He faked it so well that he faked out a couple of our coaches as we were talking on the headset, and then, of course, faked out the official who blew a whistle and thought that the player was tackled on the other side of the field, and Braylon walked into the end zone. So just again, executing at a very our stats, we just were able to grab some of the first half. We were over 250 yards in the first half of that ball game. And only limited number of plays, I think we were right around 7 plays to get executed from an offensive standpoint. But defensively, our guys just kept bringing it, hitting, playing physical at a high level, flying around the football. And again, those are the kind of things we want to see.
Well, I mean, obviously, tonight you sound like it was really a total team effort. It sounds like what your game plan was and the things you worked on all week, you got to see it executed, on Friday night. Now, you turn the page and next week, another big matchup with an undefeated Ironton team. Is that correct, Coach?
Yep, that's who we got this week. And, talking about preparation, our kids are going to attack it just like they have each and every week leading up to. Now, every team poses different things that you've got to be prepared for. And, of course, our guys are always gritting their teeth when they know it's going to be a good opponent that we've got across from us. And Ironton is going to pose a number of different things that we've got to be prepared for. They've got good athletes in a number of positions. So, our guys will get back. They'll make sure that they do what's needed in the weight room and the conditioning. And then film study, prepare themselves for going out and just working to execute at the highest level. We talk a lot about when you play good teams, you're going to have highs and lows throughout the game and just maintaining. And I'd say that's what I'm most happy with our team. You look at that big touchdown that we had to start the game. But our guys never wavered. They never let that bother them. And That's something that has maybe kind of plagued us at times in the past with the guys that were our seniors have been playing for us since they were sophomores. You know, we've talked about that youth and maturity that we've had to develop within them. We've seen great growth out of them here in these first 5 games of the season. We got to continue to see that next week. And, that'll all start with our week of preparation, and I expect no different approach to it from them and our coaching staff. And these are.
Yeah, well, Coach, you mentioned the maturity with the sophomores, now seniors, and you could just tell, like, well, I believe we lost Coach. So, if you ever leave me, and now we may have just got a copyright strike. So, but just real quick before we go to our next coach.
Take a listen to Hardy's newest song.
So now we have Coach Matt Hoops calling in on the Edward Jones Coach's Hotline. Just real quick, sorry, Coach, to wrap up. Just 52-7. Really impressed with what Wheelersburg was able to do. So we appreciate Coach Woodard calling in, and we appreciate Coach Hoops calling in. So how are you doing tonight, Coach?
Okay, I didn't think I was going to get right through, so I thought I would be almost home when you guys answered, but we're going to test this out on a Jeep ride on the way home, see if it works.
Well, we just lost a coach.
Hang on to that phone tight. Hang on to that phone tight.
I only got one good hand, Miller. You know that.
I know. I put that brace on the other one.
As long as the pizza doesn't slide out of the bag, it's a win.
Well, without, how far into Chillicothe did you go to get the pizza? You don't have to say because we don't have a pizza sponsor. So.
Yeah.
I just went right there about halfway down. Well, I guess in the middle of Western Avenue.
Okay.
Past University Hill, above Central Center.
Okay. Yeah, we
narrowed it down. Narrowed it down.
Not a sponsor. A place.
You guys can come on out. Come on out. I'll have some leftovers.
All right. Well, we may do that. So, 47-0 win tonight for the Shermans over Piketon. So, kind of. Can you talk us through that game? I know Jeff knows a lot more about that game than I do, but can you talk us through that game a little bit for those who were not there?
Obviously, we started out a little sluggish again. I think probably more so because of what Piketon did than what we did. They had a good game plan that kicked off to us. We were able to take it down inside the 10, and we just stalled out. But thankfully, our defense, which has been playing really well all season long, forced a third down, and we were able to get a tip pass, and Levi Beam was able to step in front of it and take it in for a touchdown that obviously we thought our offense was going to score, but our defense ended up scoring first for us tonight, 7-0, and I think it ended up being 10-0 after the first quarter. We got down there again. Piketon's defense was tough, and ended up Liam Matthew, I believe, kicked a 42-yard field goal. But Piketon did some good things. But go into the halftime up 25-0, I believe. We had 2 Cody Brayton touchdowns in the second quarter, and he also ran one in the second 2-point conversion in the second quarter. Put us up 25-0 half.
Yeah, and I mean, Coach, I agree with you. I thought Piketon had a nice game plan there, especially at the beginning of the game. But then, eventually, I just thought maybe your size, you guys stuck it in the belly of Cody Braden there. I think, second and third quarter was a lot of the Cody Braden. It seemed like it was 6, 7, 8 yards a carry, or more, which, just kind of took the air out of maybe Piketon at that point.
Time your offensive linemen come running over after possessions and say, basically, tell us we better never throw another pass the rest of the game because they were feeling really good about themselves. They were able to kind of wear Piketon down a little bit up front, I think, and not just that, but just the comfort level that they're starting to get. We are in week 5, and I talked about this every week I've been on, that our offensive line is the one unit that as the season goes will always continue to improve. And, they have definitely done that. So those guys up front have become a little bit more confident in what they're doing. And when you get that way, when you start playing and not thinking, especially in that position, it becomes a big-time advantage.
Yeah, so your defense gets their second shutout of the season. What was the key for you guys? Because I know a couple times I was able to check in. I saw they were driving, and you guys were able to get a stop. What was one of the keys for you guys to hold that shutout? Something you haven't done for the last couple of weeks.
Well, I think we won the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. I think our defensive line was outstanding tonight, and our linebackers were just coming downhill really well. And Mike just didn't have anywhere to run the football. I know they suffered a couple injuries tonight that they would have obviously not liked to have happened. But I think you never want a kid to get hurt. But the guy that they lost was really, really good player for them up front. It made me almost sick to see him go down. But I think that for me as an opposing coach to say that, I know probably took a little bit of the wind out of their sails as well. But I just think our defensive line played really well, and our linebackers are just so fast and really physical.
No, I think I didn't feel like Piketon was ever able to put, string a lot of things together. Against your defense. I don't want to say it was a bend not break defense, but when they would put together a few plays, and then all of a sudden they might be in a 3rd and short or something, and someone on your defense would come up with a TFL or a pass deflection or something.
Tip pass,
Yes.
something like that. Honestly, what we really probably did was just kept them out of rhythm. And I know I talked to Tyler. He's one of my good friends in coaching. I have so much respect for him. He and I are the same age, and he's a great football coach, and he was dialing up some stuff that we're giving him a chance. But sometimes it doesn't matter what you call it. If tip passes, tackle for loss. If those things put you behind the chains, it's going to mess up any rhythm or flow that you did have offensively. I just there's been years where we haven't been as good as we are up front. And I just think this year's we have a lot of depth up there. I think it's a little bit of a different defensive line than we're used to having. In the last couple years, I think it's probably a little bit quicker than we've been. And there's some advantages to that. I think that, we were able to take advantage of that tonight.
Yeah, so Coach, next week you are at Adena, who's now won 3 straight. They knocked off Paint Valley 27-19. So what do you guys need to focus on throughout the week? Obviously, I'm sure you haven't got to watching much, if any, film on them. And then you've got homecoming tomorrow. So how do you guys prep for this upcoming week? Because I believe it's their homecoming as well. So you guys are being kind of in the same range. It sounds like you're driving all over the place too, but please be careful.
I'm out 50 now. Speeds up a little bit. Boys,
all right, well, be careful. But
no, but I just think we got to come in Monday with and I think that our team's mature enough to do this. Obviously, this is a big weekend for them with homecoming, and I told them to enjoy it. And they're supposed to. That's part of high school that you want your kids to be able to experience and have fun with. But at the end of the day, when we come in Monday, we're now focused on something else. And Adena and Coach Hurd is going to be physical and run the football, and we're going to have to be ready to play and go on the road.
all right, Coach, I believe that is all we have for you tonight. So make sure you get home safe and really enjoy that pizza from
I'm going to.
From an unnamed source on Western Avenue here in Chillicothe.
That's right.
So thank you, Coach, for calling in.
All right, guys.
Yep.
I'll talk to you.
All right.
Stay
Thanks,
safe.
Coach.
See you guys.
See ya. Yeah, so always good to have different coaches in, and we've, you're calling after games, so you're going to have them at different points in time.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. But you're right, John. I was able to watch that Unioto Piketon game, and Coach Hoops is dead on when he talked about. I really felt like Piketon did everything they could to kind of establish what they wanted to do. You know what I mean? And then just a couple bad breaks, and all of a sudden you're down 2 touchdowns, 17-0 or something like that, and then it just kind of takes the wind out of them.
Yeah, we've got a lot of good coaches in our area, so Coach Gilliland is one of those, and another one of the really good coaches in our area is now joining us. Look at that segue here on the Edward Jones Coaches Hotline. It's Coach Todd Gilliland from West. How are you doing tonight, Coach?
I'm very good. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, we appreciate you calling in. It was a good night for the Senators, correct?
Yeah, we played really well tonight. Ended up with a 41-7 win. We started out a little slow on offense and had a couple turnovers early that led to 7 points for Waverly early on. But after that, we got things together and really got going midway through the first quarter into the second, and things just started rolling from there. We're really happy with the way we played tonight.
Hey, Coach. Coach Miller here. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. People probably don't know this, but Coach Gilliland and I used to be on the same coaching staff on a basketball court about – I'm not going to tell them what year that was, Todd, because that really ages us. But we used to do a little basketball coaching together. So,
I definitely feel the age.
Yeah,
for sure.
I hear you. Hey, you can always come up and get a stretch out of Haynes Total Healthcare to make you feel a heck of a lot better, Todd. I'm telling you.
Awesome.
As far as tonight, league win. Which is obviously. I'm sure. I think over the last 5 or 6 years, you guys in Waverly have had some big battles. And for you guys to come out tonight and kind of get a big win's got to feel good for you guys moving forward in that SOC.
Yeah, for sure. You're right. It's since I've taken over here at West. My 5th year. It's every year. It's been a back and forth, high scoring, game where they're both teams are making a lot of plays. And tonight, we came into the game just early on in the season. We had our struggles and played a really good, tough non-league schedule. And we talked about going into this game. Hey, the season's we're 0-0. We're both teams we're starting league play. All of our goals are right in front of us, what we talked about before the season started. And this was going to be a springboard for us, for the rest of the season. And, our guys took that to heart. We had a good week of practice. And, the thing about going into this Waverly game is their starting quarterback was out. And, we knew about that, but we didn't know what we were going to see offensively. And they came out in something that I've really, in my lifetime, have never seen Waverly run, basically under center, almost kind of flex bone-ish, wing T type plays that, and ran the football pretty well early on. And it was an adjustment for us. You're used to seeing them in the spread, throwing the ball around all over the place and high tempo offense. And it was an adjustment for our kids, and for the staff to figure out what they were doing. But, once we got that, we got comfortable and, was able to kind of take advantage of some of their mistakes. And once we got rolling, our guys really felt good about what was happening out on the field. And it was just big for us tonight. I know I'm kind of rambling on, but it was, it's an exciting night for us to get back on the winning side of things and to get some momentum going into the rest of the league play.
Oh, it's all good, Coach. Any win is a good win, especially when you've played the type of schedule that you've played. But you also mentioned with Waverly, they've played an extremely good schedule too. So this was a game that I think a lot of us, you can throw the records out, knew it was going to be between two teams that are well coached, good programs, and then you guys ultimately, get a decisive win. But who played really well for you guys tonight? Anyone really stand out for you guys, or is it just more of a team?
No, we were able to spread the ball around a good bit offensively. Was very happy with Brody Hall. Did another nice job for us at the quarterback position. Was 10 of 15 I think we're right about 150 yards or so passing. Had a couple touchdown passes, and the picks early on where one ball was tipped and another one we were forced in trying to hit a big shot play. And those kind of things happen when you're throwing the ball a little bit more, like we have been this year. Nothing bad, but Brody made some great plays and some great throws and decisions. And Anthony Bishop had his normal night. He was right around 20 carries for 130 yards, and touchdowns. Played well. Freshman Weston Radcliffe returned a punt for a touchdown. Had another touchdown on a running play. So that was a big night for him. Coming out, kind of his first coming out moment, for us. And on the defensive side of the ball, I really want to mention that guy that had a big game for us was Colin Martin. Played kind of an undersized defensive lineman who led us in tackles from the defensive line. He had 9 tackles, tied for the lead, had a sack, a tackle for a loss, a caused fumble, and played really well in special teams too. And it it was a great night for him. I'm just really proud of the way he played. And kind of, it was kind of the catalyst for our defense, during the night.
Yeah, Coach. So, I mean, like you said, open up. That was your opener in SOC play, correct, tonight?
Yes, sir. Yes,
gotcha.
Sir.
So, next week, what are you looking at? Home, away, and who you got next week?
We're home against Memphis, and Memphis a much improved team from where they've been. Last year they've got their numbers up a little bit, and they've got some guys that can do some things with the football. And so, in league play, it's a thing where you've got to come in and be prepared, for a tough battle every time you're playing an opponent, no matter who it is and where you play them. So, we've got to get I guess we'll celebrate this victory tonight and watch film in the morning. But we've really got to get ready for what Memphis does. Early on when we were scouting Fairland, they had scrimmaged them, and they're kind of for the first time I've seen Memphis in a spread out, sometimes 5 wide type sets. So it's something that we're seeing a lot of wrinkles from teams that you haven't seen in the past, and so we're going to have to really sit down and focus on. Our assignments and what we want to do defensively, because that type of offense just, one breakdown and, it's an 80-yard touchdown. And so you've got to really be ready for that. And, but, like I said, it was nice to get this momentum rolling into getting to play Memphis next week and hope we continue it.
Yeah, you mentioned some of their athletes getting out, and if you miss a tackle, it's going to be a big play because they've got some really special athletes for sure.
They definitely have some speed.
So congratulations on the win, Coach Gilliland. We look forward to hearing from you again and seeing how you guys do next week against the mighty Memphis Falcons.
All right, guys. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep. Thanks, Coach. Have a good night.
See you. You too.
So we've talked about Memphis just a little bit. We talked about them more on overtime presented by Perfection One, but man, they've got some really good athletes, and they've carried over from a lot of success last year. They make a state championship game in soccer, they make a Final Four in basketball, and as always, a really good baseball team as well. So Memphis is never going to be an easy opponent, but a big win for the Senators today.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I think it was one of those games, Waverly and Portsmouth West, like Coach Gilliland said, typically that's some high scoring. It was just kind of interesting to hear him talk about, Waverly coming out in a totally different offense. And as he was saying that, he said, I haven't seen Waverly, and I'm sitting there going back, and I'm like, man, it's probably been, has Waverly ever come out in that kind of offense? I mean, because normally they've got some elite kids back there at quarterback with some athletes. And so, Coach talked about the adjustments they had to make throughout that game. So, kudos to them. Good game, good win opener in the SOC, and kind of looking forward to that Memphis matchup next week. I think that could be a good one. Yeah,
I think that'll be a really exciting game to follow because both teams can put up a lot of points, and West is throwing the ball a little bit more than normal. He mentioned Anthony Bishop. If you look back, his brother Jeffrey had one of the greatest performances that we've ever had on one of our football live streams. I believe he had either 4 or 5 interceptions against Waverly a couple of years ago. We called it the Jeffrey Bishop game throughout the year because he was unbelievable in that game. So we are going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we will be talking to more coaches. You're watching the Haynes Total Healthcare Coaches Call-In Show. Welcome back to the Haynes Total Healthcare Coaches Call-In Show, presented by Southern Ohio Sports Authority and Ohio Health. I'm John Bruce, along with Jeff Miller. Coach, we talked about it being a beautiful night. Just, how much have you enjoyed this? I saw that we're somewhere where we're in a major drought.
Yeah, I mean, it's tonight it was just I was out there at Unioto probably 4:30 when I got out to the field area. You know what I mean? And it was just, I was like, oh my goodness, it's like hot. It's not even warm. It's hot. You know what I mean? I'm sweating. So just to think that, like here you said, we're in mid-September and we're playing with 80-degree temperatures. You know what I mean? It's just I guess so we haven't hit football weather yet.
Right. Well, you mentioned it being hot. I was supposed to be out. I got my stretch today out at Haynes Total Healthcare and with Hunter, who we had at the beginning of the show. So if you didn't catch it, make sure you check tomorrow for the timestamps to see exactly what he was. If you ever leave me, we are just going to get copyright strikes like crazy, Christian. I'm going to have to go through and delete whatever nonsense I'm talking about here. So, but went out there and stopped by. I mean, they're not a sponsor, but stopped by Carl's Townhouse.
Okay.
For a lovely lunch, and I was going to go paint it. I was like, it's hot. I did not enjoy how hot it was.
It was almost brutally hot out there.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we'll get you on right now. Yeah, we do have another coach joining us here on the Edward Jones Coaches Hotline. It's Coach Andy Hall from Jackson. Coach, a tough one down in Ironton tonight. So how are you doing overall? And can you kind of tell us about the game a little bit?
Well, first series, we punted to them. We moved the football and had to punt. But then they fumbled the punt on about the 30-yard line, able to make a few plays, kick a field goal, up 3-0. And then they came back, a couple run plays up the middle. They got a big-time running back, couple big-time running backs, and got down the field pretty quickly, 7-3. And then we fumbled the onswing kickoff, gave them the ball about the 20-yard line. They punched it in. Then they onside kicked it, got it. 2 plays later, they score again. It's 21-3. And then they just came after us. We didn't tackle well in space tonight at all. We did not sustain the line of scrimmage. We turned the ball over. We didn't play well at all. Of course, when you play a state team like Ironton, you got to play your very best. And we didn't do that tonight. Of course, a lot of that had to do with their skill as well. But we just didn't play well. So it was around the second quarter. I pulled the kids. We played our JV quarter because I got tired of watching what we were seeing on the field at the time. That took us to halftime. We were down 42-3, I think, at half. We put the varsity back in the second half, played the second half better, but it just wasn't acceptable. That's not what we do and how we play. And we got to get a lot tougher. Got more physical. So now we've got 2 games where we have been very physical, and that's on film now. Mm-hmm. So, all the league teams are going to get these film, be just frothing, excited about trying to play us now because we have not played up to our standards. And that's something that we're going to work on this week. I can promise you that.
Well, I think you're right, Andy, when you mention that's on film. Typically it's one of those things against, Jackson traditionally is not a team when you watch film that you're going to say, oh, you know what, I think we can take advantage of the toughness or whatever. So like you said, to have it on film and to have kids sit down and have to watch that, that could be a big plus for you. You know what I mean? Obviously when a kid has to see it and it's the tape don't lie type of thing, you know what I mean? So
no, you're right. And we've put some bad tape out in the last few weeks and again, it exposed our weaknesses. So, teams are going to look at that and they're going to try to do the same thing to us. We're going to have to improve on that. I told the kids at halftime, it was a pretty tough conversation, as you can imagine as a coach yourself and understanding that, when you don't live up to expectations of this program, bad things are going to happen. And we're going to have a very tough week of practice. We're going to get back to some basics. We're going to go back to tackling, live blocking, live contact each and every day, even up to Thursday, because, we have a big sign on our locker room that says we win because we're tougher. Well, right now we're not doing that. We're going to play teams that are faster than us. We're going to play teams that, are a little more athletic than us at times. But, that's one thing we've always hung our hat on in the 17 years I've been here is toughness. And it's been that way before I even got here. And we're going to get back to that because that's who we are, or that's who we should be. That's not who we are right now. But those are things we're going to get fixed this week. And we're going to be very basic in our approach. It'll be back to almost a 2-day type situation. It's going to be very tough. It's going to be very physical. And we're gonna set a tone this week because now that we're in the league play, our goals haven't changed. We want to win a conference championship. With the league as tough as it is this year, teams all been winning. We know now, all of a sudden, winning the league games are going to get you a bunch of computer points too. So, all those goals are still ahead of us as well. But again, we're never going to shy away from, playing good people each and every week. It does expose your weaknesses and helps you become a better coach and a better player. And we're going to get better this week. I can promise you that.
You kind of beat me there, Coach, because I was getting ready to ask you. I mean, playing Ironton, like you said, state champion last year. That's not something that you have to do. I mean, they're not in your league. But I'm assuming that as you and your coaching staff, you want to play those games because honestly, you want to see where you got to work. You don't want false hopes of things. And if you're not playing teams like Ironton, then sometimes you get false hopes. But like you said, you play a team like Ironton, they're going to expose you on your weaknesses, which is going to allow you to get back and work on them.
You're right. And again, our goal, of course, is to compete for a regional championship. And like I told the kids tonight, Ironton is good enough to be in our region in Division III, and they can win the regional championship in that region. So you're playing, even though they're a Division V school, they are a very talented team. Like you said, we're not going to shy away from that. Wheelersburg is a rival for us. We're going to play them every year. We start off the year with Little Miami, who's a lot better Division I team, very physical game. That was a good win for us. But again, like you said, no, we don't have to play those teams, but we will each and every year because, we have bigger goals in mind. And that is, of course, not only win a conference championship, but we got to do better in the playoffs. And, teams like Ironton and Wheelersburg and the Little Miamis of the world, that's the teams you're going to play in the tournament. And so we don't want to, it doesn't mean anything to go 9-1, 10-0, and then just get blasted in the tournament, and the kids are like, I didn't know that was going to be like that. Well, we're not going to do that. We may have to sacrifice some wins to learn how to win later on. And that's the way we're going to do it. I mean, we're not going to back down from it. We're going to play their JV on Monday, and we're going to learn to compete. And like I said, they're not going away. And again, hopefully we got some lessons to learn. And like I said, it's going to be a very tough week for all of us. But we're going to get back to some basics. We're going to get back to some fundamental toughness because that's the only chance we have to compete at this level. So, like I said, Ironton is a great team, very well coached. They have a chance to win our state title. They've got athletes. They've got kids everywhere that can play. But, we're going to learn from this and we're going to get better.
Yeah, Coach. So, you mentioned getting better throughout the week. I think one of the things that will help is the fact that Hillsborough is much improved, and they have some very physical players as well. So, how important is it that you're going to be able to play a team that is having one of their better starts to keep your guys focused as well going into league play?
Well, I think it's great. I mean, I told the kids afterwards, I said, guys, in the 8-9 years we have had this league, this may be the most athletic this league has ever been. Not only are these teams won 3 and 4 games already, but you're talking about, the running back at Chillicothe. Heck, he's got 800 yards in 2 games. You got the Baker kid at Miami Trace has got almost 1,000 yards. You got the quarterback at Courthouse has got over 1,100 yards rushing. Hillsborough's got 2 dynamic running backs. McLean has a quarterback that's slinging it everywhere. So, I mean, it's not – these guys think they're going to line up and just show up and we're going to win because we're Jackson. That's not going to happen. I said we've been exposed to some things that we need to improve on. Those teams are going to try to take advantage of those weaknesses, and if we don't get better, then this is going to be a tough second part of our season. So, we're 3-2, not real happy about that. But again, we have a lot of room to improve. We have a lot of goals ahead of us, But at the end of the day, we just got to get tougher, and we got to play with the physicality that these kids, I know they know how to do, because they've done it before. I told them afterwards, hey, I love them. They're great. They're great young men. They have great parents that raise them. These guys work hard for us, but we just got to get better. And as coaches, we got to do a better job coaching them and put them in better positions. And as players, we got to accept that and learn how what we can do as individuals to make the team better.
All right, Coach, we appreciate you calling in, and I know that those kids are they're going to be it's going to be a tough week, but because of what the pride they have in Jackson football, I know that they're going to be ready to go for you guys, as you guys got a big one coming up next week at Hillsborough, as we said. So have a great rest of your weekend. I know it's going to be tough, but a great week of practice coming up next week as well. So we appreciate you calling in, and we hope to hear from you again soon.
Hey, I appreciate you having me on.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach. Yeah, so when a coach calls in after a game like that, you just really appreciate how open they are, because obviously Coach Hall not happy, but it's not a it's from a top down type unhappy. So it's just something that they're going to get better at throughout the week. That's going to be
and like you said, I think Coach Hall's been there, done that. So I have no doubt that the practice week's probably going to be grueling, going to be tough. But then I'd say the results we're going to see from here on out, it might be a little bit different as well.
All right, and now quickly here on the Edward Jones Coaches Hotline, we have Coach TJ Carper from Chillicothe. How are you doing tonight, Coach?
Doing great, man. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, we appreciate you calling in and having some of your guys in this week. So you guys had Wilmington tonight, the Hurricane. How did tonight go?
I mean, it was a fun game, dude. It was a fun game. I mean, it probably had everything that you ever wanted in a game. Turnovers, just a bunch of adversity, man. Our kids fought. They fought hard and escaped, with the victory tonight. But I just can't, thank my kids enough for just being the kids that they are, just grinding, just witty, and just those kind of kids, man. I love it.
Coach, I was listening to the game when I was coming back from the Unioto Pike game down to the studio. And I think at the time maybe you had just went up 18-13. I think Carte had just scored a touchdown. How'd the game finish up?
Well, it finished up 18-13.
Okay.
But it was the craziest ending I've ever experienced. It was crazy, man. So
don't keep it. Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Yeah, man. You're gonna get it. You're gonna get it. So we 18-13. They come down with about 4 minutes left. We get a stop, and I believe we gave the ball right back to them. We had to punt. Actually, it was a fourth and long, and we gave the ball to Carte. He got stopped a yard short, so it was about 2 minutes on the clock. 3 minutes on the clock, and they go 3-4 and out. Stop them on fourth down. We get the ball. All we got to do is just kneel the ball. And their kids are playing hard to the end, and we're trying to kneel the ball out. Their nose guard absolutely creams our center and tackles Tay in the backfield on a kneel, and he hurts his knee. So we're trying to, so we're down 2 quarterbacks at this point, so with Andrew not being in, but so we put Jeremy in, and we snapped the ball with 25 seconds on the play clock. And that kind of puts us in, you have 20, you're going to be to the good 20 seconds. So we're at fourth down, and we just run the ball to Carte. They get the ball back with 20 seconds, and it was just shot after shot after shot, and our kids just battled, man. They threw incompletions. Caught one, and we tackled them inbounds, and that was the game. So man, it was the most exciting game probably that I've coached in, besides maybe that Unioto game at Vinton County my first year. But it had everything that a football game should have in it, man. It was a great game.
Well, it's two good teams from good leagues that it's a really good last game to play before you go into league play, and it sounds like it was absolute perfect scheduling because it's going to have both of you ready going into next week as well. So who played well overall for you guys? It sounds like it was a big time team win overall as you came up with those big defensive stops down the stretch.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna credit this kid. He played phenomenal. Aiden Scales. So we're not moving the ball really well, just running the ball in the first half and things. And second half, he just put the team on his back. And we probably ran this one play about 10 times in a row. And Aiden's like, I want to run this play. We're running this play. I'm blocking. He's our right guard. And he was just, it was like poetry in motion, just watching him, pull and kick and rap and just block, man. It was amazing, man. And of course Carte's going to have a great game, but our defense really, really just stepped up tonight, man. I'm so proud of our defense and just the way that they responded to some adversity. I think we had two or three goal line stands in this game, to keep our hopes of winning alive, man. And it was a fun game, man, defensively, just to watch, and some like throughout the game, dude, I'm just sitting there just in awe of like what's happening on defense. I want to say we had maybe 4 or 5 3-and-outs tonight. So, it's pretty solid defensive performance.
It sounds like one of those games, Coach, that you can really build from. It sounds like one of those games there was some highs and lows. You had to, fight through some adversity.
Yes, sir.
And ultimately, you end the night with a win, which is what you want, and you take that win into league play next week, correct?
Yeah, man. The good thing that I like about it is we're a young team. And when you win games like this as a young team, what it does is it brings you closer together. It allows your leaders to now lead, and it allows your kids to believe. We tell them that, it's going to be hard, but you can do it. You can overcome that. You can overcome those giants if you just continue to work and grind, but sometimes kids don't believe that, especially if they've been losing. And man, tonight was just one of those nights that, the kids, you can look in their eyes and just see how bad they actually wanted it. And, a win like this going into conference play, which is our ultimate goal. We never said we wanted to be 10-0. Our ultimate goal was to play in a conference title year one of me being here and to make it. And our goals are at the forefront. All we got to do is just reach up and go get it. But a win like tonight gives your kids confidence that they can handle anything. They can handle whatever is thrown at them at any time, and they're going to trust each other a little bit more than what they've trusted in the past because they've been through the fire together. So that's one thing that I've learned over the years, man, is close wins like this, you always see a little bit more bonding, team bonding, kids loving each other a little bit more, and kids just wanting to be around each other a little bit more, and kids being happy for each other a little bit more, So it's a great night to be a Cavalier.
Yeah, it's making me want to get out and play again. Those are the types of games that, why we love talking sports, why we love coaching, why we love playing and watching them as well. So,
yes, sir.
Coach, we appreciate you calling in. We appreciate you having some of your players in this week and everything you do to help us and to help your program as well. So we will see you next Friday. We'll be up at Miami Trace for you guys at Miami Trace. So that's our stream game of the week. We look forward to seeing 2 outstanding teams playing next week. So thank you once again for calling in, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. Thanks, man.
Yep.
Thanks, Coach.
Yes, sir. Go Cavs. Good night, man.
Yep. Have a good night. Yeah, it's just one of those things. You love it's kind of the highs and lows of it, because we hear Coach Hall do tough game, and then Coach Carper comes off a really big win like that. It's that's one of the fun things we get to do.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at Chillicothe, a team that's trying to get things going, and like you said, one of these games, one of these tough wins could be the springboard. You know, what I mean, to build on to get a few extra wins.
So just give me about 5.
Yeah, so it's one of those really outstanding games. You know, sounded like a great game for sure. So another impressive win tonight. Joining us on the Edward Jones Coaches Hotline is Coach Bill Crabtree from Northwest. Coach, big win tonight. How are you doing?
Yeah, it was a great team win for sure. Be able to get Memphis back-to-back years like that, like first time in school history, we've been able to do that. So it was a huge team win. Guys came out and really played well, both sides of the ball all night long pretty much. And feels great to get away with a huge win on homecoming for our guys.
You know, Coach, I mean, I looked at the score 27-12, and we had mentioned earlier, you know, Memphis got some really nice athletes out there. You get them in space, they got some speed and things like that. And to hold that offense to 12, it sounds like your defense must have had a pretty nice night. Was there anyone defensively that really stood out for you?
I mean, a lot of people really. Jake Brown had another great game at safety. He came up, he played well against the Cottle kid several times. They'd throw little screens and stuff to him, and Jake came up and blew him up. He stood out all night long, both sides of the ball, as he always does. Looking here at tackle, well, I haven't really looked at the stats much until right now. Landon Hodge is, you know, he's figuring out the game, starting to play better for us. He's a sophomore linebacker. Finally getting some reps there. We had our defensive line did a good job all night keeping the quarterback stable or not stable. You know, they were chasing him all night long. He was running. I mean, give the kid credit. I mean, he took some shots and kept coming and kept throwing and making plays for him all night. But defensively, we bent but didn't break most of the night. Talked about the score there. They scored one real late. I think there was 20 seconds left in the game. They connected on one. But overall, you know, they came in, opened up the game, drove right down our throat and scored, and we're like, uh-oh. But then we settled down, did a lot of different things offensively. We showed them a lot of different sets and found a lot of guys to get involved. And like I said, just a really, really good team win. Looking at like I said, I haven't really looked at the stats until right now. But Jake was 12 of 19 passing for 126 yards and 2 touchdowns. He carried the ball 25 times for 127 yards. Didn't realize we'd done that to him. That don't look real good.
That's one of those things you get done, you look at the stats, you're like, I had no idea that's how that went down tonight.
Like I said, it was working. You know, and then Ethan Ferguson had another great game for us. He had 16 for 84 and a touchdown. Catching the ball, Carson Christian had another big night for us, 5 catches for 29 yards and a real nice long touchdown run where he cut and made some people miss and things. Austin Smith caught some big plays in transition. Orion Ellis started off the scoring tonight for us with a real nice route where he got behind the guys and Jake threw it deep and Orion tracked it down Willie Mays style and scored to start our scoring for the night. And Orion had some big possession receptions, too, on 3rd and longs and stuff like that to give us first downs. Just like I said, just a great team win. Spread the ball around all night long to a lot of different people. Our offensive line, defensive line, once again, I feel like we can put them up against about anyone. They kind of controlled the line of scrimmage all night long for us. And said we got away with a huge win. Like I said, another conference win. I said Memphis traditionally has hammered us pretty bad over the years, and to get them back-to-back years like this it's been great for our kids and our program moving forward.
Yeah, so you guys for a few years went down to the 2nd division SOC, and then once you guys have came back, it seems like you guys have just jumped right back in and have been able to compete at a high level. So wins like this just help build that program up even more. So how excited were your kids? 3-2, and I mean McLean now I believe at 4-1. You've played some tough teams and you got a couple of nice wins as well. So how big was this win for your guys' program as a whole?
It was huge, especially after coming off last week's big loss, which, I mean, even in that game, the score did not tell the tale of that game. Like I said, we felt like we really missed some opportunities there, weren't able to capitalize. We felt like at halftime it was 14-0. We felt like it probably should have been 14-14. I don't want to keep dwelling on that game, but, like we played really well. To lose by 35, we played really well last week. The first week we had some big letdowns, had guys playing out of position and different things, and just piked and got us. We weren't quite ready yet. But moving forward, we've got a lot of winnable games left, I feel. Like I said, the kids are still working. We're adding stuff each week just to throw new wrinkles and different things, trying to keep finding new ways to move the ball around. And so far, we've had a lot of success with it. So hopefully we can continue to build and grow and get some younger guys that are growing up on us pretty quick, getting some reps and things like that. So, looking forward to the rest of the season here, see how things shake out. We got our big rivalry next week. Valley's coming in. That's always one, ever since I've been the head coach, we've circled. Seems like it always comes down to the last play or two. We've had some overtime games and last-second thrillers and things of that nature. So it's one we always get up for. They're a crosstown rival. We share a lot of kids. So that's one we definitely want. So moving forward, we're going to focus on them all week and see where we're at come Friday night.
Well, Coach, thanks for calling in tonight. Congratulations on a nice win against Medford. Best of luck this week. Have a great week of practice, and we look forward to talking to you here soon.
All right, man. Like I said, I formally apologize once again for not calling. I just forget about it,
You're good.
Well,
late nights and
it's the first year we've done it too, so we appreciate anyone calling in. So we appreciate hearing from you, Coach.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
Yep. Thank you, Coach. Have a good night.
Bye.
Yeah, so Northwest, a really impressive win tonight over Medford. Medford coming in, scoring a lot of points, and to really shut them down between the first and last drive of the game. Really impressive for the Mohawks.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, like Coach said, I think you looked at schedule. They got a big one with Valley coming up this week, and then they finished with some very winnable games on their schedule. So Northwest could end up this with a really nice record this year.
Yeah, it should be they're a very fun team to watch as well. That's going to be a big rivalry game, as Coach said, over at Roy Rogers Field. And I don't know what we just heard in the background, but at Roy Rogers Stadium next week when Valley goes in there. So it's last year we had that game, came down to a walk-off field goal, and I wouldn't be surprised if this year comes down to the final minutes as well.
I think do we have...
Okay, we will.
At the moment.
We'll be. We're going to get to updating the scoreboard here in just a few minutes, but a couple things. Next or tomorrow, there's a volleyball live stream brought to you by Ohio Health. It will be a big non-conference matchup. Hillsborough at Waverly. We'll have Dewey and Shane on that. Shane, 3 straight days calling games. Being a principal and just all over the place. So
wow, and I tell you, those guys have had some unbelievable volleyball games. I mean, that they've covered this year. So hopefully that Hillsborough Waverly match is another dandy. I'm telling you, like the Gallia game they had, I think one night Miami Trace Chillicothe game, the Unioto Dina game, some really good volleyball games that those guys have covered.
Yeah, if you have not seen it, last night's Adina at Unioto match was outstanding. Goes 5 sets, had a little bit of everything. Some adversity. Adina gets down 2-1 with something at the end of the third that did not go their way, and they did not hang their heads. They did a great job of reacting in a positive way to it, and then come back and win the 4th and 5th. One of the better matches that we have had all season. So like we said, it was an outstanding match. Go back and check that out. Next Friday, we will be at Miami Trace. It'll be Carson Francis and Shane Combs. Chillicothe at Miami Trace. That'll be a big one.
It'd be a real big one. I think you're gonna see 2 of probably the elite tailbacks in Southern Ohio. With Baker and Liggett going at it. So there could be some fireworks going off in that game Friday night. That's for sure.
Yeah, that'll definitely be a big one to watch. So make sure you check that out. As you mentioned, 2 of the better running backs and 2 of the better offensive lines in the area, as well as Big Adam Guthrie anchors that line for Miami Trace. So we are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will check out the Norfolk Animal Clinic scoreboard for the first time tonight. Welcome back to the Haynes Total Healthcare Coaches Collins Show. So we just mentioned it right as we were getting ready to come on. Every league besides the FAC has started now. So this is next week starts FAC play. So it will be a big week coming up next week. Obviously a big week this week, especially with being down to 12 teams in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean it starts to be like we talked about that last week. You know, here we are, middle of the season. You know, you start seeing the teams starting to move up and down as far as those computer points are going. And now, like once you get into the league play, that stuff can get very interesting, you know, because teams you've beat, you know, some of them are going to get wins because it's in league play. So, yeah, I mean, I think right now is when you really got to start paying attention to these to the rankings and seeing kind of where people are sliding.
Yeah, and Coach Hall had mentioned how well the FAC has done in the non-league, so they're picking up some points. Washington Courthouse had the I'm not going to say quote unquote because they're a 42-point dog. It was the upset of the season so far in the state of Ohio as they beat Granville. Now, by the end of the year, it may not look as much of an upset, but a really impressive win for Washington Courthouse. And ultimately, I think that's going to make that league very happy in the non-league or in the overall, because it's going to help them with playoff points. Someone's got to beat Washington Courthouse, but then you get some extra points.
Absolutely, John. I mean, you look at the FAC, and all those teams have had a pretty good non-conference season so far. I mean, Hillsborough, Greenfield's got a few good wins. Jackson, obviously, is a good team. Chillicothe's got some nice wins. So that FAC's done a nice job for themselves and for their entire league, with their non-conference wins.
Yeah, so now we'll take our first look of the night at the Norfolk Animal Clinic scoreboard for tonight's scores. As always, you can find the Norfolk Animal Clinic scoreboard on our website, sosohio.com. Shout out, Norfolk Animal Clinic reopened.
That's right.
So
That's right.
it was a tough time for them, but they were able to reopen, and they do a great job with your pets as well. So shout out to Dr. Blake Lloyd and his staff over there. Congrats on getting things going again. Did you make it to the tailgate?
Yeah. Ran into Mr. Lloyd tonight at the tailgate.
Yeah,
so.
One of the good people out there. So looking at the Norfolk Animal Clinic scoreboard, just a review of our scores so far tonight. Not everything is in, and I'm sure it will be updated throughout the night as well. So you had Chillicothe, an 18-13 win over Wilmington. Hillsborough beats Ponitz Career Tech 50-14. Washington over Schroeder Padilla 34-14. Ironton, a big 49-10 win over Jackson. Unioto 47, Piketon 0. St. Trace with a 41-14 win over Huntington. They were actually down 14-13 going into the half. Adena with a 27-19 win over Paint Valley, third straight win for the Warriors. West 41, Waverly 7. Wheelersburg a 52-7 win over Valley. Northwest, as we just heard Coach Bill Crabtree say, a 27-12 win over Minford. First time they've ever won back-to-back times over Minford. So really big win for the program there at Minford. South Gaia, a 40-7 win over Oak Hill. Belpre, 56-0 win over Green. Sims Valley stays unbeaten with a 21-12 win over Fairfield Christian. Fairfield Union beats Logan Elm 18-12. Amanda with a big win over a previously unbeaten Circleville 31-14. As we talked to Coach Psalms a couple weeks ago, it's like their schedule is just a gauntlet all year. They've got two really good wins so far.
Yeah, no, and you're right. Like you said, Coach Psalm, when we talked about that, those losses early, yeah, they were losses. But when you look at the score and the teams they were playing, boy, you just wondered when they were going to benefit from those losses. It looks like, tonight, I think Circleville went into that game unbeaten. And, Amanda comes out with 31-14 win.
Yeah, so their two wins are over 4-1, St. Trace and 4-1, Circleville, who have both looked really good so far this season. Athens stays unbeaten with a 52-0 win over Vinton County. Alexander with a 46-20 win over Wellston. Nelsonville York beats Waterford 29-28. And that was a game they were losing throughout most of the night. It was 21-7 when I peeked in at one point, but overall a really good win for Nelsonville York, which keeps them on track to a Week 10 matchup with Athens, where it could be 9-0 against 9-0.
Yeah, and I mean, Waterford obviously in the other half of that TVC, but a really, really good D7 team, or is it they D6 or D7? Waterford,
I believe. They were D6 a couple years ago, so it could be D6, D7.
Either way, they fluctuate back and forth.
Yeah,
but I mean, that's a good win for Nelsonville York there.
Yeah, that's a Waterford team that's going to win a lot of games and ultimately going to get them a lot of points as well. Megs, a 52-6 winner over River Valley. Tuscarora Central Catholic with a 46-6 win over Federal Hawking. Cold Grove with a big-time win in the OVC, a 20-14 win over Portsmouth. Rock Hill, 23-15 winner over South Point. Grandview Heights, a 48-9 winner over Chesapeake. And then our last score of the night, Fairland escapes Gaia Academy with a 28-26 win. Now, looking at the bottom of our scoreboard page for the night. Now, we don't have the scores in, but a big-time this is going to be great for the football show. I know people are going to be riveted. But a big-time Shack volleyball matchup, North Adams and Fairfield. Fairfield came into the week unbeaten, and both were unbeaten in Shack play as they're in 2 different divisions. So that was a big matchup in Shack play, Friday night Shaction down there. And that's one where, I know it's really good for the community. You're getting the Friday night. You got things to do. They don't have football, but man, it's tough for us to go out and do coverage on those games where that's a game that really deserves coverage.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
It's a cross division matchup. They only play the one time, but I will say the people in Shack Country treat us very well when we are down there. So one of the things that you don't know how to predict with live video and whatnot is technology. So last week we had one thing go out. Me and Jacob Wise spent approximately 2 hours this week, and by this week I mean this morning. I meant to say this morning, working on it. Seemed like things were just going great, and then all of a sudden one more thing drops, and we are currently unable to get coaches on. So I think that's going to be it for us.
Yeah,
tonight.
The coaches that did get in here early, we appreciate them calling in. Obviously, hopefully, we get everything under control and get our technical issues taken care of, and next week we'll get another list of coaches calling in.
Yeah, so we were still able to talk to a good number of coaches tonight. So if you are just tuning in, we will have a full rundown of the coaches tomorrow. With the timestamps of when they called in. But as always, you can find all of our stuff, sosohio.com. We'll have game stories from tonight. I know Brock had the Kingston National Bank game of the week, which was Amanda 31-14 over Circleville. Our live stream with that really impressive Wheelersburg win. And then I know we were at a few other games as well. Austin Hannah was down at Ironton and Jackson, which obviously was a big time win for Ironton, and then they just keep going next week as they have. They go on the road to Wheelersburg, and I'll tell you what, those Wheelersburg fans tonight were loud, and they showed out in a big way. Huge crowd on the road, really impressive.
I'd say next week that crowd's going to be enormous down there at Wheelersburg, and I'm sure it's going to be loud and it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, and Ed Miller Stadium, with the pirate ship. With the cannon, everything's going to be rocking down there. It's one of the best venues to watch a game, not just in the Southeast, but in Ohio. As Ironton's going to go from playing home in one of the best venues to on the road to one of the best venues. So should be an outstanding matchup. I know there's going to be a couple of different, or probably just one stream where you can watch that as well. So I know Wheelersburg has their own stream, so that's a good game to watch. We'll be, as we mentioned, we will be at Miami Trace next week for our live stream there, and then we will have. Next week we will be in once again. Christian Spradlin working his tail off behind the desk. We appreciate everything that he's able to do. But overall, tomorrow, Hillsborough at Waverly tomorrow morning for a big time live stream and a non-conference volleyball matchup. We will probably have more volleyball throughout the week next week. Some more outstanding volleyball. Actually, Tuesday, Wheelersburg at Lucasville Valley for volleyball will be another one. So make sure you tune into those. Listen to Dewey Daly and Shane Combs call that. Overtime presented by Perfection One with me and Shane will be out on Monday. Jeff, you can catch him performing throughout the week at Unioto School.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
Performing his duties.
Wearing my multiple hats.
Yes. Yeah, so his multiple hats. You can see Christian Spradlin throughout Chillicothe throughout the week as well. So, and then next Friday, Carson Francis and Shane Combs will have that game with Kenneth Hay returning to action. Shout out to Carson Wickline, came down and did the video for the game tonight as well. So we've had a lot of different people step up and help us in a major way. So, overall, so we apologize to any coaches that tried to call in. We're working on it. We appreciate you calling in at any time. And we look forward to hearing from more in week 6. But for more on week 5, make sure you check out our socials, socialhire.com. For our producer, Christian Spradlin, for Jeff Miller, I'm John Bruce, wishing you a great rest of your weekend.